In one of the steepest and most crowded cities on Earth, Hong Kong built a street that never stops moving. It begins among the offices and markets of Central, then climbs through a canyon of older buildings toward the mid-levels. Every few minutes, it crosses another road. Every few meters, a new doorway, staircase, or alley opens beside it. And every morning, the entire street changes direction. This is the central to mid-levels escalator and walkway system. It is not one continuous escalator, but a linked corridor of covered walkways, reversible escalators, and inclined travelators. From Queens Road Central to Conduit Road, the route extends for roughly 800 meters, rises about 135 meters, and cuts across 13 streets. A complete journey takes around 20 minutes. Yet its real importance cannot be measured by length alone. Hong Kong Island rises sharply behind its harbor. The central business district occupies the narrow ground below, while residential districts climb the slopes above it. In this landscape, a destination that appears close on a map may stand many exhausting staircases higher. Before the moving system existed, the same journey depended on steep roads, stone steps, buses, taxis, and a network of crowded pedestrian routes forced into limited space. By the 1970s and 1980s, road traffic in Central had grown rapidly. Elevated footbridges between commercial buildings had already shown that pedestrians could be separated from congested streets. The government therefore considered a more unusual experiment: a mechanized walking route that would connect the mid-levels with Central and encourage people to complete part of the journey on foot. It was conceived as a transport pilot, not as a tourist attraction and not as a new entertainment district. The engineering problem was severe. There was no empty corridor waiting to receive a broad piece of infrastructure. The route had to pass through a district that was already dense, irregular, and alive. Property boundaries, narrow streets, existing buildings, and the changing gradient of the hillside restricted almost every decision. Instead of forcing the hill into a standard form, engineers aligned the system with the natural slope. Several sections required unusual inclinations, and many components had to be made specifically for the project. Large escalator trusses could not simply be delivered in one piece. Steel frames were divided into smaller sections, carried through the city, and lowered into prepared pits by cranes. The machines were assembled before the protective canopy was completed above them. The result opened in October 1993 after construction costing about 240 million Hong Kong dollars. What appeared to be a line of ordinary escalators was actually a custom-built transport system inserted into the existing fabric of the city. Today, the corridor includes covered walkways, 16 reversible one-way escalators, and 3 reversible travelators. Space was too limited to construct 2 complete moving lines, one for each direction. The solution was to make the system obey the rhythm of the city. From 6 until 10 in the morning, it moves downhill, carrying residents towards Central. After the direction is changed, it runs uphill from shortly after 10 until midnight. Pedestrians traveling against the moving direction use the adjacent stairs. That daily reversal turns the infrastructure into a mechanical timetable. At dawn, the slope releases people toward offices, shops, and transport connections below. Later, the same line begins returning workers, residents, diners, and visitors uphill. The escalator does not merely cross the neighborhood. Its direction expresses what the neighborhood is doing at that hour. The machines travel at approximately 0.65 meters per second. Their 1-meter-wide steps and travelators can carry thousands of people every hour. By late 2024, the system was serving about 99,000 pedestrian trips each day. But most people do not ride from beginning to end. They enter at one street, leave at another, pause at a shop, cross into a building, or continue by staircase. That pattern is why the system behaves less like a single machine and more like a moving street. Ordinary streets create value through access. A door facing a busy pavement is different from a door hidden one floor above it. The escalator changed that relationship. As the elevated corridor carried pedestrians past windows, balconies, and upper-story entrances, parts of buildings that had once been secondary became directly exposed to daily foot traffic. A new pedestrian level appeared above the old street, and businesses began adapting to it. The effect became especially visible around the area now known as SoHo, south of Hollywood Road. Restaurants, cafes, bars, galleries, and small businesses clustered near the route. Academic studies of the district found that the escalator encouraged the reuse of street-level and upper-floor spaces and attracted new investment. The system did not simply serve a neighborhood that already existed in its present form. It helped produce a different neighborhood around itself. That transformation also brought tension. Increased access can strengthen local trade, but it can also change rents, business types, and the social character of a district. Older shops, residential entrances, and everyday services remained beside a growing leisure economy. The moving street connected places, but it also altered which places became visible, profitable, and desirable. Urban regeneration was not a neutral side effect. It was one of the most important consequences of the project. The original transport ambition must also be judged carefully. The system provided a useful alternative to buses and steep walking routes, but later government assessments found that it did not persuade large numbers of motorists to abandon their cars or significantly reduce traffic across the wider mid-levels area. Its greatest success was therefore not the complete removal of road congestion. It was the creation of an exceptionally effective pedestrian layer inside an already crowded city. Keeping that layer alive requires constant work. Although the route is covered, it operates in outdoor heat, humidity, and rain. Water, dust, heavy use, and irregular slopes place continuing demands on machinery, drainage, lighting, and safety systems. A control room monitors the corridor, while maintenance teams inspect steps, handrails, motors, and sensors. After decades of service, the escalators and travelators were replaced in phases, allowing most of the route to remain available while individual sections were renewed. This is the hidden side of the moving street. Its apparent simplicity depends on a chain of decisions repeated every day: direction changes, inspections, cleaning, crowd management, repairs, and the careful timing of shutdowns. A failure in one segment does not erase the whole route, because the system is divided into sections and parallel stairs remain beside it. Its fragmented form, originally created by the limitations of the site, also gives it resilience. The final revelation is not that Hong Kong owns a very long escalator. It is that the city turned movement into architecture. The corridor crosses roads without becoming a road, enters buildings without becoming a building, and links neighborhoods without flattening the slope between them. It created a public space and section, one level for vehicles, another for pedestrians, and countless private thresholds attached to both. At night, the covered line becomes a luminous path climbing through dark residential blocks toward the towers above Central. It still carries commuters and diners, but it also reveals the shape of the city itself. Hong Kong did not defeat the mountain behind its harbor. It designed a street that moves with it.